it'll pay itself back, put it that way, as we've gotten our own staff trained in that.
Thank you. And one more revenue question. Sure. The Medicaid reimbursement seems to be bucking the trend of all the federal and state aid.
For some reason, they sent a letter saying that the percentage of claims would be rising, and that and we've kept hearing over the years that it's going to be cut down, and we've left that number at the 45,000. But looking at, we've already received 120,000 last year, and as of December, we've already received 50 this year. So we felt confident.
Absolutely. Good number. And the other, honestly, there's kind of a inverse economic effect. As families have lost health insurance, they are looking to other ways to support their child and the complicated needs that go with some of our kids. And so families that wouldn't have typically been Medicare families due to job loss, due to whatever, movement, whatever it might be, whatever family circumstances have done that, have now gone through the process of applying. That kid then kicks into our system, and we're notified that they're now Medicaid eligible. We can go back 90 days because we document all those services all the time. So, that there's just an odd economic effect that you wouldn't typically think about. It's just that the downturn has affected families that way. And at this point, there has been no movement anywhere to decrease those funds. And so we're really, feeling comfortable with actual figures. And it's our staff that should be commended because it's their documentation that triggers that funding. It's not. It is what they do day in, day out, and how they document that's appropriate reimbursement funds. So it's due to what our staff does that triggers those funds. So it's huge, absolutely. It's huge. And for a small district like ours, unheard of. So our staff are really great about. They follow those things. They do all the documentation. We've streamlined it. Less paperwork. It's now online. It's great. So it's really been it's a better user-friendly system than it used to be. So it allows us to generate the right funds.
One last question. Having the budget highlighted with specific strategic plan goals is very helpful, very focused, and kind of keeps things focused. One strategic plan goal that I know you and I have talked about that is not addressed in here is number 4. And what's that?
We do yes.
World language. World language. And I know you and I have discussed it a bit, but I'm wondering if maybe you can address it to kind of bring the whole committee up to speed on why every goal is addressed.
We're this year starting after school foreign language program, a Mandarin program. The first semester was at Melrose and the second semester here. Actually, sort of struggling to try to get people interested because there was a cost to that. But it was the idea of introducing and seeing what the interest might be. But in the meantime, when the commissioner started having these meetings about, what her proposal was going to be, she's talking about competitive innovation grants. And thinking about starting the foreign language program, I think I'm very sensitive to the fact that we have to be able to sustain it. And whilst we could perhaps have put a salary into this budget, we don't know looking forward what the economic situation is going to be, and it would be awful to start something that was, building success and engaging kids, and then just have to say we can't afford it anymore. So my thought on, and I talked with some of my fellow superintendents, I talked with Mike McGee through Sarico about the possibility of collaboratively applying for innovation money to start a elementary foreign language program that would be run through Sarico by telecommunication. and that districts could, buy a piece of, however many hours, and then if we could afford it, to have the instructor come on a whatever level we could afford. But to get that started with grant money, and that would then purchase at least all of the equipment, get the whole setup in place. That kind of a system could be used for a whole lot more than just foreign language instruction if it were established. So the people that I've talked to like the idea, and we think we could sell the commissioner on it as well if she gets that. So we're holding off to see that might be a way to get started, to fund it. Do I think that that's the ideal way to teach language? No, but it appears that it would have sustainability. And if we could build on that in the future when the economy turns around, then I think we'd be in a good position. But I didn't think it wise to put in something that I wasn't sure if we could sustain down the line by ourselves. We're not giving up on it.
No. And the study group put a lot of effort in and felt very strongly that if we do pursue an elementary K-8 language program, it needs to be sustainable. It needs to be high quality. It can't be a shotgun approach of a little bit here and a little bit there. It really needs to be a thoughtful progression from K through. So I just wanted to make sure we actively said this is not a forgotten goal.
I didn't forget it.
Not a forgotten goal.
But it's a 5-year plan too, so.
Yes, exactly.
But I also think too that, to perhaps pull two things together, the tech plan that Clint presented here, and that the idea of the telecommunications and distance learning concept, that somehow might be, I think it's a great idea to do it through Cerrico, but also too, maybe through our tech plan, through our planning, actually for grants, get that part of the infrastructure, that equipment here. And that then, of course, could be used for other things as well.
Well, Mike and Clint are doing all the research on what it would take, because if that possibility comes up, we wanted to prepare to put forward a proposal.
Well, that's what he's saying. I mean, one of the things is, who knows what this is going to look like in 5 years? We've got, who would have thought, who knew what Twitter was 18 months ago? But I mean, I knew birds did it, but I think even educated fleas do. But I think that if we could keep that in mind, is trying to take the tech plan for the next 5 years, incorporate the distance learning component into it, then foreign language would be a natural fit through Cerrico.
Support a lot of
stuff. Yeah, exactly. You could do distance learning with somebody in China. Much less, Exeter or any other place.
But as with any program, it's the teacher that makes the program. You have to find an excellent teacher who knows not only early childhood education, but knows the language well and how to present that. And so if there were a number of districts, and there are a number of districts interested, and it is in the BEP as a recommendation, not as a requirement for elementary, finding that many really good elementary teachers might be difficult.
Well, that's why finding one for a region,
yes, right.
is a good idea.
Absolutely, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
Thanks, Ryan. I think my questions were answered.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. Excellent job answering the questions.
Incredible job of doing last year's and this year's.
We have another
Well,
item.
now wait till you get the budget in the new software.
Yeah, well, okay.
Oh, speaking of that, did we ever get Eddie, did we bear the whole cost of that whole changeover that we were supposed to get reimbursed for?
State paid about $20,000.
It was budgeted at 50? 53?
Well, that was better than the original mandate. You were going to bear the entire cost when it came.
And has there been any more news about getting out of the statewide bus session?
I got an email this afternoon from Paul Larson, who would like to meet with us and see what our routes were and basically his projection versus our projection.
His projection versus our reality.
Right. Well, Jane and Gwen and Cheryl have been working on what the reality would have been, so we can